Hey everybody, it's Brent Allan here. I'm here with my good friend, Coach Papa, Tim Stewart, and he just wrote another book. So Tim, why don't we jump right into it, and why don't you tell us a bit about the new book?
Well, one of the things, Brent, that I've noticed, I've been networking in the world of chambers and BNIs and other networking groups since about 2001. I notice a lot of people doing it, in my mind, wrong. They're spending too much time selling to the people in the room, and networking is really about meeting someone. Several years ago, I was in a group, and somebody threw the 287 concept out as kind of a side note, but I held on to that. And the 287 concept, and it's right on the cover of the book, is that 2% of the people in any room need what you do right now. Yet 87% of the people in the same room know somebody who need what you do right now. And it comes down to that know, like, and trust factor. And when you begin to understand that 87% of the people in that room know somebody who need what you do right now, then you can look for people that you have similar personalities, similar things in common. Get to know them, and the more you have in common, the quicker that KLT factor, know, like, and trust, comes up, and the easier it is for them to refer you to people inside their network. So what I'm trying to do with the book, and I do it through a story format, but I try to get them to understand, stop selling at the event. You still have to make the follow-up calls. And during the appointments, you still have to go through the sales process. People aren't just going to throw money at your feet because you operate correctly at a networking event. But it will make your business and give you the opportunity to grow your business even quicker when you understand these concepts.
Now, you mentioned that you wrote the book in a story format. Tell us a bit about what inspired you to write it in the story format as opposed to just, here's how to do it.
Several years ago, late 70s, I was riding in a station wagon going to an event, and somebody asked if I minded if they put a tape in the tape player. I thought, well, I'm a country boy, and I thought, yeah, they're probably going to be listening to Deep Purple or something. Nothing against Deep Purple, but they put in a tape by a guy by the name of Zig Ziglar. And everybody else is listening to Zig's stories going, wow, those are amazing stories. I'm listening going, this guy's getting paid for telling stories. My daddy used to hit me for it. And I thought, well, maybe there's a way here that I can do the same thing, because stories is the way information is passed on from the dawn of time. Stories connect with us at a very deep level. So when you tell a story, people are more inclined to learn from the story than when you just lay out step 1, step 2, step 3. Get dressed for the meeting, go to the meeting, be nice at the meeting, follow up. The steps will get in the way. The story, it goes through the whole networking process without really talking about networking until the very end.
Now, Tim, the book is called A Guy Named Frank, and so one would assume that there's a guy named Frank in the book. So why don't you tell us a bit about, this being a storybook. Tell us about the characters in the book.
The main character is a guy named Richard. Richard lost a corporate job and decided to start a new job. He wasn't quite sure what he wanted to do, and during his thought process, he ran into a guy named Frank. Frank is kind of a mix between Mr. Miyagi of Karate Kid and Clarence the Angel from It's a Wonderful Life. Frank shows up in Richard's world, kind of guides him through the questions to define the business he wants to go into. That business model grows through networking. Richard goes to a networking event, and like most of us, the first networking event, he totally botches it up. I may have overemphasized some of the mistakes that he made, but it's a little fun. There's a few smiles for all of us in that part because I remembered some of the things I did. A guy named Frank shows back up and steers him through the networking journey by using a rifle range, a basketball court, a bocce ball game, and a golf driving range. So he teaches him all about networking without teaching him anything about networking, but by the end of the book, it all fell into place, and I think it might just fall into place for you as well.
So, from what you're saying is, this book not only has the how-to network, but it actually illustrates real-world examples of networking do's and don'ts
How did you meet your wife?
through networking.
Through a network. I met my wife's girlfriend the day before, and I wanted to see the girlfriend again, but I didn't really ask her. I said, I'm going to bring some friends to a movie. Could you bring some friends to a movie? Now, she was my real target market, Jane, but when I saw April sitting next to her, it was May 6, 1974, and 6 weeks later I asked her to marry me. And we just crossed 41 years of marriage. So almost everything in our life happens through networking. We know how to network. We just forget about it when we go to business.
Interesting, okay. And now, who did you have in mind when you wrote this book? I mean, if you were to say this is a must-read for a specific type of person, who really needs to read this book?
Someone whose business model, they've done the research on how to grow their business. There are some businesses it doesn't work. Networking is not going to assist them in growing their book. But you have several from the financial services, auto dealerships. There are several companies, anyone in the network marketing, obviously, your Shackleys of the world, your Legal Shields, these type of companies. Anyone in this world, networking is very important to. That other type of person is someone who they've been let go from corporate America. They've been downsized, right-sized, upside down in their life. And they've started a business. That networking is the right model, but they don't understand. They have a skill, talent, or ability that's marketable, but they think it's a field of dreams, that they just show up, people are going to start doing business with them. And those are the people who really need to pick this book up and just get the basics of meeting people and talking people and treating people right. So.
And now the way that you published this book was a little unconventional, a little unusual as an author myself. When you told me how you went about publishing it, it struck me as a little odd. But tell us a bit about that.
I've published 3 other books, or 2 books myself, and then a 3rd book I was a co-author on. And I went through the traditional publishing means. But this is a book on networking. And I thought, you know what, I have to use my network to publish this book. Otherwise, I'm kind of violating the principles of the book. So the printer is my son's father-in-law, obviously in my network. The editor is a gentleman who wrote for the Sun-Times and the Tribune, has gone through some changes in his life, and he's still got an amazing talent. He edited this whole thing in a couple of hours. The other people in my network, as I brought it out, you were one of them, that I gave copies of it to and said, hey, help me through this. Do we hit this concept? Do we hit this? Do we hit that? And so my entire network helped me put this book together. It's a little bit more expensive than, I could probably got onto, printmenow.com or something and printed the book for, a couple of bucks a copy. But the truth of the matter is, I wanted to use my network, and everyone in my network has benefited from it. And it's been a fun ride.
And well, I guess the other question is, how can somebody get a hold of the book?
They can reach out to me. They can reach out to you. Obviously, if they're seeing this, they've got your contact information. My email address is Tim, that's my first name, at coachpapa.com. And Coach Papa is spelled just like it sounds, Coach Papa. If you notice the logo, that was designed by Mr. Brent Allan several years ago. But Tim at coachpapa.com is my email address, or you can reach out to me at 815-403-8870. My email or my URL, my website is just coachpapa.com. So everything I do is branded around Coach Papa.
Absolutely, that's great. And again, this is what the book looks like. It's a quick read. When I got the first copy, I read through it that night, and I've actually read it twice since. So I've actually read this book 3 times already. I consider myself somewhat of an expert on networking, and I still picked up some great information from this. So whether you feel that you're a solid networker or you're not sure what you're doing with networking, everybody who wants to grow their business through networking really needs to get a copy of this book. You can reach out to Tim directly or reach out to me, and I can transfer you over to Tim, and we can make sure that you get a copy of the book